Today I will answer a question from a viewer on self-defense weapons for students. Rakesh Nayak asks, Brian, can you make a video on the top 10 legal things that students can carry for self-defense and use as weapons? Thanks for asking that question, Rakesh. Yes, I can. Before we get started on that list, here's some things that we should consider. First off, the weapon must be legal. It must not violate school rules. It must be fairly easy to conceal and to carry, or you're not going to carry it. And if the weapon's at home when you need it, then it must be effective in the real world. It must be quick to deploy and utilize. And ideally, it should be easy to learn how to use. So here we go. My number one item, always for self-defense, is going to be a concealed carry handgun. It wins because of the distance factor. Of all the other weapons, they all require you to get within striking and grabbing distance to utilize, unlike the handgun, which can be utilized at distance. Also, there's an intimidation factor, which means you might not even need to use it. If you have a group of bad guys coming at you and you pull out your concealed carry, they're likely going to turn and run off as soon as you present it. Now, out of all the weapons on this list, this is the one that requires the most amount of training, both in utilization and in safety. It also has like the most amount of legal considerations, meaning you really need to understand the laws where you live. Now, if you do carry, I do recommend a micro compact 9mm, something like a Springfield Hellcat. It's you want something that's light, that's small, that's slim, and something that's reliable. Also, you're going to need a really good holster. I'd go for a Kydex holster. The one that I've been using and absolutely love lately is the DeSantis Pegasus Slim Tuck. It has a C-clip on it, which I can wear with or without a belt, and it even stays on my gym shorts. So I absolutely love that combination. Now, if you are the kind of person who's always forgetting where their car keys are, where their wallet is, misplacing your cell phone, I don't recommend that you get a firearm. You need to be a responsible person if you're going to own a firearm. Okay, my number two item that I would recommend if you're not going to carry a firearm is absolutely, positively, always going to be the same answer, and that is a pocket knife. Now, there are all kinds of pocket knives out there. There's pros and cons to each one of them, but I am a simple man, and I prefer a simple folding pocket knife with an legal assisted opening mechanism, something like this Kershaw 1990 Brawler. This thing is only about $30 on Amazon, so if you forget and wear it to the airport and TSA takes it away, you're not losing a $100, $200+ knife, you're just losing 30 bucks, easy to replace. Now, this little flipper on it makes it so that it opens as quick as a switchblade. It has a locking mechanism that is actually part of the opening mechanism, and that makes it completely legal, where switchblades would be illegal. A couple things I like about this particular knife is that it does not have any serrations, which tend to get caught on clothing. It has a Tonto blade edge, which I really prefer. It's great for cutting and slicing and stabbing. It also has, and my favorite waistband or belt clip ever. This thing is adjustable for both right-handed and left-handed people. It also is adjustable for both a tip down carry, which is how it comes configured, or you can see that I have configured it for a tip up carry. So when it's sitting in my pocket, the point of the blade is facing up, which is what I really like. Now, this can also double as a kubaton. All you have to do is not deploy the blade, and you can use it as a blunt object. So you go into a less than lethal mode. And also it can double as a car escape tool. So you can take that blunt edge, break the window, cut the seatbelt, and you're free. This thing is so versatile, and also I just recently made a video on how to defend yourself against dogs, and I would often actually prefer to use the knife instead of a handgun. But because that thing is so easy to carry, which I'll show you how to do in a moment, even when I'm carrying my handgun, I still carry this pocket knife. It doesn't get in the way, so why not just always have it? My number three item is going to be a tactical pen. If your school doesn't allow a handgun, or you choose not to carry a handgun, and it does not allow a knife, then the tactical pen is the way to go. The great thing about a tactical pen, what's different about a regular pen, is that they're just super hard. You can smash through concrete, break glass. You're not going to break these pens. One of the things you want to look for in a tactical pen is you want to look for one that does not look like a tactical pen. You want to look for one that looks like a normal pen. If it has all kinds of gnarly, scary looking stuff on it, it probably won't get past most security checkpoints. Finally, my number 4 option would be a regular ballpoint pen. If for some reason you can't carry a tactical pen, then a regular ballpoint pen is almost as good. Think about it this way. If you're at school, you're going to have one anyway. I recommend the Zebra F301. It's made out of a lightweight aluminum, aircraft aluminum, so it's stronger than some cheap plastic pen, but it's really lightweight and it frankly writes really well. You can get this at a grocery store, an office store, or at Amazon. So, based on that, how do you use a pen to fight? I just made a video on how to fight dogs. I show you how to use a knife to fight dogs. That's the exact same way you'd use a ballpoint pen. But here's a quick version. You're going to take this, put your thumb on the back of it, get in your fighting stance, and then you're just going to rapid stab out. Now, make sure to put your thumb on the back when you stab, or this could happen. To carry a pen or a pocket knife, simply clip it to your pocket on your dominant hand side, and it's ready to deploy that quick. Ladies, if you have no pockets, then clip it inside your waistband, just behind your hip bone, because if it's in front of your hip bone, when you sit down, you're going to feel it jab into your thigh. The knife and both pens are light, they're super easy to carry, they're quick to deploy, they're super easy to use, they're low skill, they're safe, and they're legal basically anywhere, with the possible exception of the knife in some locations. So my best opinion, I recommend everyone carry one of these items at all times, whether you're a student or not. Now there's some weapons that you might have questions about that I didn't mention, so let me go over some of those really quick. The first is a classification of weapons that I like to call keychain melee weapons. These include things like kubotans that have blunt edges, or things that fit in your hand with little sharp, pokey, spiky things that fit out, that you stick out, that you can, try to punch and stab someone with. I really don't like these because they're attached to a keychain, and that usually means you're going to have your keys bouncing around as you're trying to hit with it. You're going to be fishing around in your purse or fishing around in your pocket to try to grab it, because these things aren't clipped to a pocket for really quick deployment like the knife or the pen or a handgun are. And any weapon that you just can't get to that quick, it's not probably going to be something that's effective to carry as self-defense. Next, we have extendable batons. Now don't get me wrong, you crack someone over the head and they're going to be in a world of hurt. But there's a couple problems, like how are you going to carry it? It's got this big handle that everything's in. It's this thick, heavy handle. You can't stick it in your pocket. You're going to have some kind of a holster, and now you're walking around looking like a Jedi. That could be cool. The other thing is, it takes a lot of skill to utilize an extendable baton, and if you've been trained in a Screama, Arnis, something like that for years, you're going to be good to go. But anyone else, you're just not going to have the skills to be able to effectively use it. Next, we move on to pepper spray or mace. And while there's some really decent modern pepper spray devices out there that are becoming smaller, and they spray out fairly decently, and there's still some problems where if there's a wind coming towards you, you're gonna get misted with that pepper spray. And I gotta tell you, being pepper sprayed is pretty miserable, and if you are trying to spray someone else and you get that on you, you're in for a world of hurt as well. Another thing, there's usually not a very convenient quick deployment strategy for these pepper sprays. People leave them in the bottom of their purse and they're fishing around, and if you can't get to it quick, once again, it is not an effective weapon. It is also utilizing pain compliance to make your attacker stop. It doesn't cause any kind of an injury. So if you have someone who is really committed to attacking you, they're going to get sprayed, they're going to rush right through it, they're going to grab you, you're rubbing around on each other, you're both now pepper sprayed. Now finally we come to stun devices. Now there are tasers, which kind of look like little pistols, and they shoot these 2 darts out that get stuck in you, and they complete a circuit, right? But those are pretty large, and most people really aren't going to carry something like that around. If you're going to carry that around, you're probably just going to get a concealed handgun. So we're going to talk about the melee range devices. These are the handheld devices where you actually have to go and you have to touch someone. Now, most of the really good ones are kind of big, so you have to ask yourself, how are you going to carry this thing? Are you going to get some kind of a waist holster and carry it around? Or are you going to have it floating around in the bottom of your purse, and in the middle of defending yourself, you're fishing around trying to get it? It's not a valuable weapon at that point. Now, there are smaller ones that are coming out. But even the smaller ones are a lot bigger than a pocket knife or a tactical pen, so you still have to figure out how you're going to carry it, how you're going to deploy it. You also still have to get close enough for someone to grab you and punch you. Yes, you could say that is the same with the knife. However, with that knife, if you're rapid stabbing that out and someone's trying to grab it, their hands are going to get punctured or shredded to pieces by that knife or tactical pen. The one thing I will say they have going for them is that little electrical spark current thing going on, that zzz.
Your device is on and press the red button.
That thing's kind of creepy, man. You see that and you're like, whoa, hey. But other than that, I don't think they're as effective as carrying a pocket knife for sure, and I personally would still rather have a tactical pen. At the end of the day, the weapon is only as effective as the person using it. That means you must commit to figuring out how to carry, practice deployment, and practice using it, and of course, practice safety with it. Folks, if you have any weapons that you think should have been on this list, feel free to add them to the comments. As always, thanks for liking the video, subscribe to see future videos like it, and I'll see you next time.